Tens of thousands of football fans came to Highbury. Electrifying!
Yes, guys, welcome back to the Cannon Podcast and another episode of Scouted, this time on Benjamin Šeško, part one of, we don't know how many we're going to do. George and I just looked at about 45 minutes, 50 minutes of clips of Benjamin Šeško, which you can check out from the link in the description and below. You can check out on a free trial on Patreon. We started with, what do we look at? We looked at his dribbling, his sort of best actions, his goals, his difficulty under contact, which we'll come to, and George put... He's so good, mate. He wouldn't say himself. He's so good. Like, he just really isolates what the issue is. And I'm not going to say what it is. You have to go check out the Scouted. So, yeah, and we've got loads of others, as you guys know. But we are here to discuss Šeško. Fabrizio Romano said last night at 7 p.m. he knew we were going to go live on Thursday evening. And he said, I understand Arsenal have started moving initial concrete talks at Benjamin Šeško deal. He's always been high on the recruitment team. Management Mikel Arteta list with attempts to get deal done, rejected by Leipzig in May 2024 and January. Now Šeško will leave Arsenal on it. So as this sort of develops, we'll do more and more content on Šeško and try and cover every single angle. George, I'm actually a bit angry after watching that Scouted, like genuinely quite angry. And I want to say this, and I want to come to you to sort of give us the big picture of the player. We have to be able to separate out two things. And I know there's going to be comments saying, this isn't enough. This isn't enough. Please, can we separate out two things? Please, I'm begging you. I'm imploring you. Šeško on his own is not going to be enough, in my opinion, to lift. I mean, it might, who knows? It might be, but it's not guaranteed to lift Arsenal to the Champions League and Premier League. And that's what we're all after. Yeah. And I get that. Okay. No one is saying that Šeško is that player. But if you can't get excited about a guy of this talent, which we're watching a guy who has literally everything. George can go into more specific in a second. Literally everything in his locker. And more importantly, specific things that Arsenal don't have at 21 years old, who is touted and wanted by probably every club in the world. If you can't get excited by that, I'm sorry. And just watching a footballer at your club of this level of talent and potential talent, I think who's going to be the best number 9 in the world, you have thought yourself into not enjoying football. I'm sorry, like that's the only way I can put it. If you can't separate out those two things, I'm really angry that we're signing this talent. I'm sorry, it's just not good thinking. And I'm gonna go that bold. No one is saying that Šeško on his own is going to take Arsenal to the title. We need a win now forward alongside him. But just watching that talent, I'm so angry that there's people who are not happy about this, George. That's my position. People won't agree with it. That's fine. Go for it. Tell me about Šeško.
Yeah, really quickly, just to beat off that, and then I'll go into the profile, because we need two forwards. Stop with this isn't enough. We're here to talk Sesko, and talk Sesko specifically, and so we will talk the overall package of forwards down the line. We know it's not enough. It's a brilliant start. That's kind of where I stand on it. This is the best prospect on the market, in my opinion, and he fits my type of striker. This is a pure channel running number 9, incredibly complete, and is in the top 1% of physical skills that you're going to find. You're not going to find a striker with better hang time, better leap on him. A lot of the things that Sesko has are experience related in terms of some of the weaknesses. And but in terms of some of that ball striking, I don't need to be a super scout or even a nerd to tell you, wow, Rocket looks good coming off foot. Some of those things are incredible, but some of the things that you may not be able to see as much, his touch is immaculate. I implore everybody to really have a look. It is what sets him up so amazingly for a lot of his dribbling, a lot of the technical skills that you see. Sesko's first touch is freakish for a player of his size. It is always cushioned. It is always, able to transition it into something that he can use and going forward as well. It creates space. People don't recognize that he's that good technically, and defenders fall for it every time. His touch buys him time. And I think that, when you have a look at the next part, maybe it's the decision making in transition. Maybe it's the next part about when he decides to pass, if he doesn't pass, which is something that could be an issue. The point under contact, I just want to specifically talk about it because I think at this point, my one line that he's 6'5" and doesn't know it has been rinsed and repeated. There is that, but the reason for the why is this. really quite simply, Benjamin Sesko is more concerned about the ball than he is about setting behind himself in terms of preparing for the contact. And 3/4 of the time that he is unsuccessful, it is because his point of gravity, so his center of gravity, is away from the ball, and he's using his limbs or something in order to just focus on getting to the ball as opposed to setting. And so his center of gravity isn't over it, and therefore he's not able to pin successfully because his balance is off. If you look every time that his center of gravity, or he's set his balance receiving and it's in line with the pass, Benjamin Sesko has no problem dealing with contact, and we see it tons of times. But the times he doesn't, it is because the center of gravity is away from the ball, and that leads to him being vulnerable to being picked. And by the way, this is a bigger point because he's 6'5". The guy is huge, so his center of gravity is really quite high. So it becomes even more important for someone of his stature and frame to set his center of gravity because it's so different to other players. So when it's not, it means that it's really quite easy to bring him down. But mate, the dribbling, the technique on the dribble, dear God, the ability for him to like make many touches in a short period of time. And he has the dribbling thing that top phenoms have where short steps, the ball may not change direction, but he does consistently. And he has an ability to manipulate that and keep the ball in close control. Like, he is somebody that has the 5'5" dribbling capacity of like your favorite midfielder, but in a 6'5" frame. And you're so confused how that works.
Yeah, I think you've covered pretty much everything, and I completely agree with so much of it. And I just like maybe the box movement is something we haven't necessarily discussed. We looked at a number of clips of him and how alert and alive he is to things in the box. He's got such a good final third picture. This is something that in transition we have we know we have problems as a team. He's maybe a little bit, this is probably more Leipzig, and we'll come to their context in a second, but he's a little bit just wants it first time around the corner. But again, there's this clip where he checks over his shoulder, receives the ball, feints to shoot, and goes back to Xavi Simons at the top of the box. He also, in terms of receiving it, how many times have you all heard me speaking about shot volume? He shoots more and also maybe a little bit too much in terms of decision making, but also receiving it centrally. How many times have we spoken about, I personally wanted a Phil Foden-esque type player. Hopefully that could be one area at some point in terms of receiving between the lines, but Šeško can do that as well. And really, in all of these things, I hope people are hearing, oh, that sounds like the issues that we have. I came up with this thing on TTP Live last night about the puzzle piece. Arsenal have a specific puzzle piece that they're missing, and Šeško isn't the perfect color puzzle piece. He isn't the perfect picture on the puzzle piece, but the shape of the puzzle piece to go into our issues and to be painted onto and so forth, that is Šeško for me. That is right. There are some concerns over his numbers, George. And I want to come to sort of the Leipzig context in a second, but it was 13 goals this season in Bundesliga. I will say I think and 5 assists, so it's 18 GA in 33 matches. I will say it's something like 0.48 goals per game, so that's a goal every other game, which I think at 21 isn't that bad, but I understand people will be concerned a little bit about his numbers. Just as I just pull them up, so yeah, let me look at them sort of overall, and I'll give them in a second, but just overall, yeah, here we go. So Bundesliga in 21-22 for was 5 goals and 3 assists. Bundesliga in 22-23 was 16 goals and 4 assists. Bundesliga in 23-24 was 14 goals and 2 assists, and Bundesliga last season was 13 goals and 5 assists. Just in terms of that, could you give us some context about Leipzig? Obviously, they finished outside of European positions. How are they using him?
Very differently this year. And it's why his shot totals are down. Like, people will look at it and say, how can you say that he shoots a lot? And then look at his shot numbers. It's because of the role that Leipzig have him doing. And it's incredibly different to what was played last year. So Leipzig, just for people to know, they play in a front 2 system. And it's very much little and large in how they like to employ. But one striker drops to midfield to create a +1, and the other one's free to enter the box. And it's why Openda has far more box entry touches than Sesko. Not because this is a fault of Sesko, it's because the coach is asking Sesko to come deep a lot more and to be a +1 in a lot of different solutions. And it's in areas, by the way, that I don't think he thrives in. Like, it made him I actually think he improved quite a bit in his awareness of contact. I still think that he struggles with setting the center of gravity point that I talked about earlier. That's the specific thing I just want to coach out of him. But he became a lot more aware of his surroundings because he was put in those situations a lot more. But you know what excites me, mate? That goal total isn't miles off last year's goal total in a completely different role where he's far more facilitative. That is huge. And I don't think people are talking about it. And, they're isolating the output when he is playing a facilitative role. His role isn't to score in the Leipzig system, and they don't play him. I mean, for God's sakes, if you watch Leipzig, Benjamin Sesko is the one that's trying to deliver crosses for Lewis Openda to go and finish in the box. I'm sorry, that should be Sesko. Sesko's a poacher. And that needs to be understood. When you talk about stats, my biggest annoyance with the stat topic of conversation is this a player weakness or reflective of what the coach is asking you to do? And you need to be able to discern between the two because it's important.
Yep, I agree. And also, so it's the most assists he's ever got for Leipzig in one season. So the change in role is working. And second, if you look at, we need more XG out of him, and hopefully our system would provide him that. Leipzig, I think, scored something like 55 goals or something, so they're miles off it. But also, if you look at the XG he did get, he's overperforming it in terms of shots. In terms of so when he is in positions, he is getting the goals that he needs. So it's on the system and on him to improve that. Another aspect we haven't spoken about, he's not had an injury since 21-22. Guarantee arrives at Arsenal and picks up one, but that is another factor and something. We're looking at Isak, and I think Isak is the complete package. But if you had to pick out one issue or one major concern, maybe it is his injury history, and that's something going for Šeško. In terms of the price, I've heard like 92 million. You could believe who you want. There's various reports saying that is true, that isn't true. I think Team News and Ticks on Twitter says yes, and some people are saying no, that is true, etc. I can't see, after a failed bid in January, contacts last summer, coming outside of Europe entirely for RB Leipzig, how they're going to command, and knowing the player wants to go, and supposedly the personal terms, I can't see a world where this is £92 million. I really, really can't see that personally. But yeah, your reflections on the price.
Complete posturing from Leipzig. And it's guaranteed. Like he was begging to come. I don't know if people remember. Do you guys not remember his agent interview going around? Like, that boy was begging to come to Arsenal. And I actually think this will be a quick negotiation, mate, if I'm really being honest with you. Like, I think in the next couple of weeks, I'll be kept busy because I think we'll have to have done a here we go in the next 2 to 3 weeks, in my opinion. And I think we have him in for the Club World Cup as far as like timing goes. Yeah. Or at least secured. I don't know about in, because that's always logistic about when they end up doing the medicals. But from my perspective, this is a quick negotiation because he has been delayed a year. Yeah. And they know it. And he signed a new contract and he wanted to go. And I think it's about, if you want my personal opinion, I think it's anywhere from 65 to 75 million pounds in terms of, and in addition, you can't have a 93 million pound valuation in a year you did poor as a club outside of Europe, and you put him in a worse position in a more facilitative role where he scored less goals. Like, all of this doesn't add up. So it's complete posturing. I really don't worry about the price whatsoever. And let's just see where it ends up at.
Yep. Final thing to discuss, and we'll for today, because if we get more, we'll do more. The scouting we've done today is going to be a part one of a number of looks at him. I want to look at him in certain games and stuff and situations, but probably mentally as well. I was up till later than I care to admit watching videos of Šeško in various contexts, and I came across an interview of him, and mentally he strikes me as very down to earth, speaks very, very good English. There's like about 2 pictures of him smiling on the internet, and I hadn't seen him interviewed, and then you see him interviewed. He seems really relaxed. Well, yeah, he seems very, very relaxed. Very nice. What I liked as well, that it was a sort of Q&A that Leipzig had done, and every question, a lot of his teammates were taking the mick out of him. It's a really good sign. I know like when someone can take the mick out of you, it's a really good sign that you're a good character. So I liked that. His idol is Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Plays a lot of basketball in his spare time when he can. He said he played a lot of basketball when he's growing up, and you can see that in his frame and stuff. And I do, it's difficult. It's one interview, 9 minutes or whatever, but I get a really good sense of him that he'd be able to handle things. He doesn't seem too serious, which I think is something Haaland has going for him, where he clearly understands like the pressure, yes, is there, but he doesn't take it to heart. I don't feel that on Šeško. I don't want to, make a whole character analysis off 9 minutes, but you do just get a vibe off someone, and I feel mentally he's shaping up the more I see of him to be someone that I like.
Yeah, I've character-wise, I always struggle with this. Like personally, I think you're a lot better at this than anyone really gives you credit for. For me, I struggle because I don't know the man, so I you know how you have your thing with like the refs? My mental thing when I talk character, I can't do it because I'm like, I don't know him. It's one of my things. But the one thing I can't speak about with character is I look at football because I'm a nerd and I can draw character conclusions from that. And the one thing I will tell you, for Benjamin Sesko to go into a role that doesn't suit him all season says a lot about the application and where he is still top 10 for Bundesliga sprints. That says a lot. If I'm putting you as a player in something that I know you don't like, and you're like, I'm going to get on with it, and not just get on with it, but still thrive, still produce, that says everything to me mentally. And it shows a huge amount of coachability. Like, look at him year on year, right? I'm going to put you in a role that you're not suited to, and you're going to still maintain your goal production from the previous season. Incredible. And add the most assists that you've ever had in your career and actually improve. Incredible. And it's why for me, I have zero qualms. When I say that there's cons, people may take it as me being overly critical. No, I do it because I think that he has such a high bar. Yeah. This is a guy that for me will become the reference 9 in the world. And I have zero doubt on his ability to be coached. So I will offer coaching points because he's shown it throughout his career. And especially this season, if anything, this was probably, I'll end on this. Having watched him this season, I got more excited about Sesko, if that's possible, because I saw a player who, despite poor circumstances, not being platformed, and by the way, a player that had a lot of things to work on and was put in a worse situation, actually improved and worked on those things. Yeah. That says everything to me about the type of character he is.
I think so. And in terms of that coachability point, I think if I look at the issues that he has in terms of decision making and sort of contact and dealing with contacts and stuff, you're looking at Miles and Saliba and Saka and stuff like that and their development. And I think it gives a lot of encouragement to me. He turns 22 tomorrow. There is a little bit of petulance in his game, and there's a couple of moments where you go, come on, mate, release the ball. He wants to have a shot, but actually, maybe we need more of that as well. But yeah, we'll finish there. Look, I implore people what I said at the top. Please don't let Arsenal's window, the order of business is never priority. If you want to get angry about the window at the end of the window, that's completely fair. That is completely fair because then Arsenal will have not done what we all know. There's no doubt this summer, whether you and I agree or whether there was doubt last summer, there is no doubt this summer what we need. We need level raises. So, and this is why my favorite pairing has been Šeško and Rodrigo. So, and then we can talk about whatever. But please don't let that conversation seep into your analysis of him just as a player. He is so exciting. To be sad that we're signing Benjamin Šeško, I really think you've just thought yourself into a funk there. I really think you have. Look at the club, put pressure on the club to do what needs to be done. But as an individual signing, this is one of the best. Well, I think this is one of the best bits of business Arsenal will do in the Arteta era. So I'm really, really pleased with it.
Okay, really simply, I've been on Benjamin Sesko for quite a while since his Salzburg days. I have felt, oh God. Yeah.
You said beat off earlier as well.
Just not beating the allegations. This has been a player I've been a fan of for quite a while, and I followed for quite a while. And I said it back in 2022. I've said it back now. I believe he is going to be the best center forward on the planet. I don't think it takes quite a long time to work that out. You can see a lot of the tools, but a lot of people ask me on Twitter, and this is why it might seem a little distracted because I'm trying to pull up the conversation, and I think it completely describes what we're talking about. For me, I see a very clear picture with Sesko, but people have asked me, George, you talk about him being a prospect, you talk about him being raw, which is true, but do you still expect him to lead us to the league? because you've also said that you need a forward where you don't squint and you need to be confident. My response to Twitter and to this has been alone? No. Alone? No. I can definitely see a window with Sesko included that I will confidently tell you Arsenal will be favorites for the Premier League and the Champions League. That is a talent that I'm like, okay, as a package and as a pair, I can pair it with something that I believe this. Alone, though, absolutely not. And it's going to be a collective window push at this point for me to make that statement.
Yeah.
But if you're looking at Sesko from a talent perspective, let's just be very clear. He is raw, but he's not useless.
No.
This isn't a player that is 18 that will not impact. He will impact now. Okay? He will. And he will decide games now. Okay? Like, I just want to be clear. Like, despite me saying prospect and raw, that's because he's got a lot of things to work on that are really glaring. But that doesn't mean that he doesn't have supreme skills, that Sesko hang time with a Saka cross back post won't accrue minimum 5 goals next season. Trust me, it will.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I think this is a player talent-wise you can't beat. And the comparisons to the Isak basically are there for everyone to see as far as what it takes when you judge goal output to talent if you haven't done the work. And personally, I can only speak for myself, and I know Alex has as well, done the work. As far as talent goes, I don't question this. Yeah. This is a really exciting player that I just think could give us so much. You don't get complete nines like this very often, and you need to buy them before they're the name, because when they're the name, they're unattainable.
Yep.
That is it.
Yeah, and I was making this point with Rohan last night. Like, we're talking about him, like, as if this is a Champions League, Bundesliga, full international. Like, he's not a kid. Like, he's going to come in and have an impact. Is it going to be the total impact on his own, as we say? Probably not. But equally, also, there is a world where he arrives and bangs. How much have we been crying out for a striker in this system? If he comes in and scores 20 goals, that's banging, I would say. And I think he could get better. So
I'll be even more specific. I put the adaptation 18 months, in my opinion. I think after 18 months, you will see a player that I can be confident in making those claims about. I think it'll take that long.
And Arsenal will exist after next season, guys, just to let everyone know. Okay, we finished there. As we say, you can go check out the first part of the scouting. We'll do another one as links and so on progress. We did a sort of half-hour breakdown with a bit more data stuff, which you can go check out on TCP Live. We've got an Ollie Watkins scouted coming out. Those of you who are patrons, YouTube members, you already have access to that. But if you want to check that out, you can also check that out which comes out on Sunday. Yes, thank you all for being here. Thanks so much for supporting the Cannon Podcast. Thank you, George.
Thank you, good sir.
Thank you so much for watching. And thanks for keeping it Arsenal.